Ciao, ciao, ciao. Hey, everybody. It's the Brother Seamus Show. How's it going? How's it going? Why is my balance? Why is my balance out of balance? I ask you, America. Today's music is produced by a young fella named Sam. Sam lives in a faraway land. His name is Sam. He produced this. I did the loops. I like to do the vocal loop part of it. I consider it a form of old white guy rapping. This is my attempt to rap. But before rap, we had chanting. And that probably got in my head earlier in life. Because rap didn't hit my generation till I was probably 16. And it showed up on MTV. Just like Beavis and Butthead did. There was some crazy shit on MTV back then. We were so blown away by rap, we didn't even know what to do. White kids, black kids, didn't matter. It blew everybody away. And we knew it was here to stay. I'm not claiming to be a rapper. Let me be clear, I'm not claiming to be a rapper. I'm just a weird bald guy on the internet that makes beats. And sometimes they're pretty good. And they're always, let me say this about my old bald white guy beats. They're usually pretty easy to dance to. Okay, that's enough of that. I just wanted to see if I could get a little something going with the looping pedal. I'm realizing that my lighting is not correct. And I'm not just the host of the Brother Seamus Show, I'm also the lighting technician. I'm the sound man. I'm the gaffer. I'm the best boy. And the electrician. Oh, I've got two sets of lights are not on. Please bear with me while I remedy this technical problem. Boom. There we go. That probably changed things a little. Let me go down here on my stage. How y'all doing? You can call me at 509-676-6032. We can talk about just about anything, but what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to prove to ourselves today, what we're going to prove to each other. I'm not here to tell you what the truth is. I'm just here to throw some information at you. If we can discuss the information, you might understand where I'm coming from. And if I've got it wrong, maybe I'll understand where you're coming from. You know, that's what, hey, that's what they call communication. Don't tell anyone. That'll be on the exam. If you're taking Public Speaking 101 or Mass Communication 307 with Dr. Winkler, Dr. Henry Winkler's 300 level class, this will be on the exam. The Brother Seamus Show at its core is about healthy communication, not exaggerated, hyperbolic, half-truth nonsense. I thought the beat was going to drop right there. Half-truth nonsense. There it is. I'm going to work on that. Today we're going to talk about guns. Here's the whole show. I don't have a lot of time today. I have to go to my last board meeting for another thing that I do. And it's all the way on the other side of town, and I got to ride my bike. I got to ride my bike across town at rush hour, which I don't like. I mean, rush hour is not that bad here in Walla Walla, Washington at 509-676-6032. Rush hour is not that bad here. But if you're on a bicycle and it's you versus a car, even if the car just if they sneeze and don't see you, it can be deadly. So I hope you'll keep that in mind. If you're a driver, keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes peeled for the cyclists because they have almost no protection. It only takes one wrong move. I really appreciate Gen X people calling me. For Gen Xers, we were forced to watch these driver's ed videos, and I believe one of them was called In the Blink of an Eye, or something like that, or In an Instant, or It Only Takes a Second. It was some version of that. And it was true. It was corny, but true. And with phones, I mean, this is a whole different show. I'm getting into a whole different show, but, just watch out for the bikers. We're trying to get bikes to take over. We're trying to get bicycles to be the main mode of everyday transportation. Now, we're not going to be able to give up vehicles completely. We're not going to be able to give up vehicles completely, people. Not right now, maybe never. I mean, some kind of vehicle, especially if you're a contractor or you do work that's far away, there's gonna have to be, although we could do way better than we're doing with trains. If all the people that didn't need to drive or who don't really love driving stopped driving today, our air quality would go way, way up. And I know a lot of you think climate change is BS, but go ask the people that live in the Gulf of Mexico. All the way around the Gulf of Mexico, the sea level is rising way faster than what the scientists thought. The scientists were lowballing it. I don't know why the Gulf of Mexico is prone to that, but I'm sure there's some reason. 509-676-6032. What I want to convince you of today, the whole show today is about learning to communicate better. The whole show today is learning about how do you actually exchange information with a person. And I'm going to attempt to exchange information with you. Of course, that requires that you call at the number right here. 509-676-6032. If you're watching us on Facebook on Humans for Democracy page, there's a call now button on the homepage. Just hit that call now button. Now, if you're just calling to be a dill hole, I don't need no dill holes calling my show, okay? You know what I'm saying? You dill holes can stay at home. I guess you could stay at home and so call me. But you catch my drift. Beats by Sam. This track is called Oh Yeah. I'll put a link to Sam's work down in the body of the description. We're running live on YouTube, simulcast over on the Facebook and the Q109 out of Walla Walla, Washington. I'm your brother Seamus. This is the Brother Seamus Show. What I'm going to try to convince you of today is that gun safety is a smart ass thing to do, and we should all be doing it. And gun safety ain't got nothing to do with repealing the Second Amendment, because there's no way for, in the sweet fancy Moses, there's no way anybody's repealing the Second Amendment. It's impossible, and liberals aren't even trying to repeal it. But good communication means we can talk about the nuance. We can talk about the details. Nobody on the left is proposing a bill to repeal the Second Amendment. You know why? First of all, most of them don't want to do it. Most of them are like me. They're liberals, but they like guns too. You can be a liberal and a redneck and like guns and believe in gun safety. Whoa, how could that be? Brother Seamus, how could you believe in all of those things? They're mutually exclusive. No, they're not. They're not mutually exclusive. Nobody's going to take my gun away. But do I think that there should be no such thing as gun safety and no background checks? Why would you want to make your society more dangerous? Gun safety is not gun abolishment. Okay? But you get tricked. I'm here to say today, and without condescension, I'm not calling anybody dumb, because we all get tricked. This ain't about dumb and smart. I mean, sometimes it's a little bit about dumb and smart, but mostly it's about, I know y'all got dumb friends, right? And if you don't have dumb friends, guess who you are? I'm just saying, I'm sorry. I'm your brother Seamus here. I'm just pulling your leg right now. I'm just teasing, I promise. It's not about being dumb, it's about being vulnerable. Social media makes you vulnerable because they figure out what your vulnerabilities are, and they push content. They push content at you that hits you right in the amygdala, right? I'm going to sneak over here and find the picture of the amygdala, because I always keep it on tap. I keep this picture on tap, everybody. By God, you got to know about your amygdala. Has nobody ever told you? Let's do a 5,000 second millifade with the limbic system. We don't have it in full screen. We should. My mistake. So there's your amygdala. I hope you can see my cursor. I think you can. It's right at the base of your brain, kind of toward the front, I guess, in terms of, there's more going on back here. This is your threat assessment center. It's the smoke alarm of your brain. And if somebody tells you the liberals are going to take away your guns, they get you late at night and your wife just left you and you're like, oh shit, the liberals, they are going to take away my guns. Shit, what am I going to do? Now I'm scared. My heart rate's up. I better click angry face, because I don't like the sound of that. I'm going to click angry face there on them Facebooks. I'm going to give that algorithm even more information about me. They already know I'm in a 12-step program and that my wife left me, because I told everybody that my wife left me. You know that I was drunk most of the time after the divorce. Now, it's also true that I was drunk way before the divorce also. It's not about being dumb. Where are you at? There you are. I'm looking at the amygdala. Oh, it's not about being dumb. It's about being an easy target in certain situations, and it could happen to you too. That's on the exam. If you get a true-false question that says, could it happen to you too? Conceited liberal fucks, yes, it could happen to you too. See, I pick on liberals too. It's just not as easy. Liberals aren't as easy to pick on. I mean, they say some crazy stuff, and I'm a liberal. I can pick on them. But the craziest shit we've seen in a century or more, well, maybe not a century. Adolf Hitler was doing the same shtick. I know you don't want to think of little Donnie Pants as Adolf, but he is. I'm sorry. He's just Adolf who wears a tie and puts a lot of orange stuff on his face. I guess it's bronzer. I could put some bronzer right here because I pick up a bit of sheen from the lights over here. My point is, you've been tricked, and they're tricking you about guns because the NRA has a ton of political clout. They have lobbyists just like the oil companies do, and they have so much money. And what they've made you believe is what we in the psychology business, your brother Seamus is a psychologist for 30 years now, but we call it a false dichotomy. It means we're forcing you to choose between two things when in fact there is a third option, but they don't want you to think about the third option, right? The third option is common sense gun safety. The third option is we don't ever abolish the Second Amendment. Because why would we? A lot of countries have gun rights, not all of them. All of you folks that love Vladimir Putin, everybody that thinks Vladimir Putin's cool, go to Russia and see how your gun rights work out. You can't have no guns unless his particular oligarch decides you can. And if you so much accuse Putin of farting, your ass is going to the gulag, motherfucker. You think I'm kidding? Prove me wrong. Go over to Russia, become a resident or whatever they let you do. If they might not even let you do that. And then criticize Putin from inside Russia while under his rule. Your ass will disappear so fast. Your amygdala won't even have time. You'll hear a knock at the door. Yeah, who is this? Open the door. Reginald, we know what you said about Vlad. You called him Vlad the Poisoner. Oh, I did not. That was my cousin. He immediately gives up his cousin. Open the door. You're going for labor camp. But I didn't even get a trial. Can't I have a trial? Why you want to waste time with trial? Trial for show. By the way, Trump got himself convicted. He had the best lawyers money could buy. He's escaped jail longer than you or I ever would. Everyone that testified against him were his own people. But that's a different show. That's back a show or two. Today we're talking about gun safety and how you think that there's only two extremes. If you are one of those people or if you know somebody who thinks it's either abolishing the Second Amendment, which is, I would argue, impossible, because I think you need 3/4 to repeal an amendment. You never get anywhere close to that. Liberals aren't even trying to repeal the Second Amendment. They're trying to say if you pistol whip your wife while you're drunk, maybe you don't get your gun, at least for a minute. And the judge can decide. It can be your own judges from your own counties. But if you're dangerous and drunk and you leave your gun laying on your night table, and maybe it's an honest mistake. People make mistakes, but if we can't rely on you to put your gun away, because then your 4-year-old takes it and shoots somebody else's 3-year-old or your own 3-year-old. I don't know why it would have to be somebody else's 3-year-old. Point being, we have a right in the community to say, if you're going to let kids get your gun and shoot other kids, maybe you don't get a gun, at least for a minute until you do some fucking training. That's what gun safety is. It's required education. At the end of the day, the worst thing you're going to have to do is take a certification class, and you probably need one anyway because you stuck your gun in the belt of your sweatpants, didn't you? You went to the club. I got to change cameras when I get my rant on. You went to the club, big nuts. Oh, wait, that's the amygdala. That's not the other camera. You went to the club, see? And you were looking cool. You had your $4,000 tracksuit on or whatever. And you took your snub nose 38, if I remember correctly. It's a good gun. I don't blame you for having the gun. I blame you for taking it into a club while you're consuming alcohol, trying to be cool, and you stuck that shit right in your waistband, didn't you? You stuck it right in there, and then you shot yourself. Bam! Bam! Right in the leg. Sorry, that was kind of loud. I did that to test the compressor. Sam, that was a compressor test. I'll do 2 more. Here we go. I need a little bit of iced coffee, though, before. I'm not a great screamer. I don't scream that well. But I am practicing. This will not be on the exam, by the way. This is the Brother Seamus Show, 509-676-6032. Don't let Facebook or anyone fuck with your amygdala. Good decisions are made by calm people. Young Aaron's in the house. How's it going, Aaron? This is the live Brother Seamus Show. I'm reenacting what happens when you put a 38 snub nose in your $4,000 tracksuit pants. Let me get center stage here. So you went to the club. You went to the club and you were grooving. and you're like, I'm going to be cool and bring a gun. Maybe you actually needed a gun. I don't know. I know club life sometimes crosses over with gang life, and you know, a lot of people strapped, we used to say. I don't know if people still say strapped. I'm going to have to put that as a hashtag for this episode, hashtag strapped. So you were strapped, you went in a club, and you stuck the gun down in your pants, and guess what? Boom! Oh, that was way too loud. I think I just hurt my own ears. I may have harmed my eardrums. Well, that ought to test the compressor nicely, Sam. I hope my sound is better. Sam's been selling me on the idea of the value of a compressor, and I trust him, and I don't have time to fully understand compressor technology. I'm sure I could spend a day tweaking the settings. So I'm going with default OBS settings here. I forget what version of OBS I have. I think I'm not on the latest version. I'm 2 or 3 versions back. I don't always upgrade my OBS right away because the NDI plugin that I use to make my old smartphones into studio cameras, sometimes the OBS upgrade makes my NDI plugin go bad. Or it makes it outdated, and I don't like that. This is really boring techie talk. Boom! You put your gun in your pants. See? Yeah. You put it right in your pants, and then you didn't even have the safety on, or maybe, is it possible you had a snub nose? A 38? Maybe it was 44, I don't know. Did you not have a safety on it? Or did your $4,000 tracksuit waistband click that safety off? I think that might have been what happened. Shot yourself in the leg. You survived. I'm sure it hurt like a mofo. And if that bullet had traveled a slightly different path, holy shit, man. Holy shit. You'd be dead. You'd have been dead on the dance floor in a pool of your own blood. And I'm not even saying that because it's cinematic. I'm not just saying that because it creates an image. And you might believe, if you're the person that shot his or herself in the leg, or if sadly, and let me say this, kids who have been harmed by guns, I want to take that as seriously as I can, while also poking fun at people who think that there are only 2 choices. That's my goal here. I'm not here to make fun of anybody who's been harmed by gun violence. If enough millennials and Gen Z people turn out to vote, guess what? We'll have gun safety. We could have actual, real gun safety, and it would be fair, and it would not violate the Constitution at all. We already take gun rights away from felons in many states. If you've been convicted of a felony, in a lot of states, I think you lose your gun rights and you don't get them back. In some states, you can get them back eventually. The Second Amendment doesn't guarantee unfettered gun rights to everyone all the time. If you're a crazy maniac and you go into a school, I shouldn't use that terminology, but you know, sometimes you just say what you say. If you go into a school and kill kids, we can't have that. That's got to stop. If enough Gen Z people voted, we could put a stop to it. We have the technology. My heart goes out to anyone who's actually been affected by gun violence. I hope you'll join us in promoting the idea that gun safety can peacefully coexist with the Second Amendment. In fact, I think they need each other. I think they need each other. I don't want to live in a country without the Second Amendment, and I'm a crazy liberal. But when they get you upset enough, when they get into your amygdaloid body, or your amygdala, about the size of a pea right there, it gets you so scared. And then here's the thing, people. If you stay on social media, they figure you out eventually. And they send you stuff that upsets you because they figured out if you're upset, you'll stay on there. That's the whole game. That's the whole conspiracy. All right, let's take a look Before I take my break, I want to take a quick look at just how hard it is to repeal an amendment. Like, for those of you who think that somehow possibly the Second Amendment could be repealed, let's take an actual look at how hard it is. All right, I'm gonna look up some facts here, and I'll be right back with you. Enjoy the tunes. I'm your brother Seamus, 509-676-6032, streaming live on Q109 FM, Walla Walla, Washington. Walla Walla, Washington. Walla Walla. Okay, what I'm Googling here is how many votes does it take? How many votes are needed to repeal an amendment in the U.S. Constitution? Let's see what it tells us. So the thing that pops up on top, which is usually pretty reliable, says the process for repealing or changing an amendment is outlined in Article 5. All right, so now we know which article, and basically requires at least 2/3 of both houses of Congress to agree on the change. So it would be 66 senators or 67 to win, I guess, in the Senate, and then 2/3 of whatever the House count is, which I think we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 480 in the House. I can't remember. All right, so 2/3 of both houses, which would be damn near impossible. And then it must be approved. This is why I say it's impossible. Nobody could ever repeal the Second Amendment. They're using that idea that somebody's going to take your guns away. But if you get your guns taken away, it's because you did something real stupid. You got drunk and you waved your gun around in a parking lot and fired it into the air. You may not have been intending to hurt anybody, but that's how you're going to get your gun taken away, and doesn't mean you can never get it back. In many states, there's a process whereby felons get their gun rights back. Of course, they usually make them, this is where being rich helps, they make them pay off all of their fines. They can't be in arrears and get their gun back. So it comes down to, are you rich enough to get your gun back? And yes, we do have a two-tiered system of justice. It's rich versus poor, which is how you know Donald Trump's bullshitting you. He has more money than God. He hired the best lawyers from across the whole country. He was given every opportunity to defend himself. He never got up and spoke on his own behalf. Go figure. He took the fifth. What did he himself say about people who take the fifth? It means they're criminals. That's what he said, but it doesn't apply to him. But that's not why we're here today. What we're finding out is it then must be to repeal a constitutional amendment. Article 5 of the Constitution says 2/3 of both houses, which is damn near impossible, and that then must be approved by 3/4 of all the states, people. 3/4 of all the states. You are not getting that. You're not getting that. You got to get it through the House. Okay, let's pretend you got it through the House. You could maybe get all the, let's just pretend. Let's pretend you got all the Democrats to vote for it. You would still need another, let's say, not quite half of the Republicans would have to If I'm doing the math correctly, you would need all the Democrats and almost half of the Republicans. Let's say it gets to the Senate, you would need 67 senators. And then, I wonder if the president's involved in this at all. Doesn't look like it. Interesting. President can't do anything about it. Then it goes to the states. It goes straight to the states. You think you're going to get 3/4 of the states? No way. Not going to happen. I don't know if D.C. is included. So 3/4 of 50. 1/10 of 50 is 5. 3/4, 0.75 would be, let me get my calculator. Let's turn on the music while I do my calculations. Yeah. Three-fourths of 100. Oh wait, that's easy. 75. I forgot there were two senators from every state, which is completely unfair. Does it make sense that Wyoming, with less than 1 million people, has 2 senators? And guess how many California has with 40 million people? 2 senators. It's completely unrepresentative. I actually think the only way we're going to be able to fix that problem is for people to move around to some of these sparsely populated areas and balance out the Senate so it actually represents the American public, because it doesn't represent it right now. It's in favor of the rights. It's in favor of Republicans right now, because the states with the smallest population, almost without exception, are completely controlled by Republicans. But if enough Democrats move there, we could change it. So we'll talk about that later. That would mass migration of Democrats is going to be needed. But here's the thing, or even prior to mass migration, how about all the Gen Z people and all the millennials that can vote? If they all voted, we could have gun safety today, and it wouldn't harm the Second Amendment. But there's too many sitting at home. The last election, I'll break it down for you. It's pretty easy. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Donald Trump got 74, roughly. He's lying and saying he got more, but he can't prove shit because he's got no evidence. He doesn't even know where the cheating happened or how it happened. He just mostly blames black and brown people for it. Just like when he said Obama wasn't born here. It's just a thing he does to black and brown people. And he's been sued for it. The Trump organization, I don't remember if he was in charge yet or not, but they got sued for discrimination. And I believe they lost. Check my math on that one, but I believe they lost that case. If we want to do something about fossil fuels, the millennials and the Gen Z people are going to have to take over. That's just the way it's going to be. 74 million for Trump, 81 for Biden. How many people sat home and did not vote who could have voted? Roughly. The same number who voted for Biden. 81 million people sat it out. Can you believe that? We're terrible at voting here. We're terrible. Terrible. I'm not saying I'm not guilty too. I did not get involved until I think in my 30s at the earliest. Don't wait till you're in your 30s, please. We need you right now. Millennials, Gen Z people, spread the word. Don't you want to live in a society where there's a sidewalk for people walking, a road for people driving cars, and then another smaller road for people on bicycles? You can have that tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Okay, I'm exaggerating. But you could have that right away. Easy enough to pass. So on the one hand, I'm inspiring. I guess I'm inspiring people. I'm encouraging people to vote because we could make this shit better way faster if you do. I'm also encouraging people who are being tricked. Don't believe the false dichotomy. Your brother Seamus has been a shrink for 30 years. 30 years. It's a trick. It's not either or. It's not either or. It's gun safety, people. Gun safety doesn't mean you lose your rights. It means if you're a dumbass and you stick your pistol down in your trousers, your $400, was it, what did I say, $4,000 tracksuit? If that's what you did, then you got to go to timeout. That's all gun safety is. Gun safety is timeout for adults who don't know how to handle their weapons. I can tell you right now, Brother Seamus knows how to handle his weapon. And yes, I did mean for that to sound vaguely sexual. Not real sexual, just a vaguely sexual. So you need 2/3, people, of the House. Let's pretend you get it. Pretend you get 2/3. Yeah. Pretend you get 2/3. Then you got to get through the Senate. There's no way in hell you're going to get 2/3 of senators. You wouldn't even get 2/3 of Democrats to vote to repeal an amendment. So when somebody tells you, hey, they're trying to steal your guns, the Democratic Socialists, yada yada, whatevers. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You never get it through. Oh, and then 3/4 of states. Or, oh yeah, I totally screwed up that analysis, didn't I? I ended up saying 3/4 of senators was 75. 3/4 of states. What is 3/4 of 50? 50 divided by 4 is 12.5. We're going to have an uneven number, aren't we? Boom, boppa doodle dot doom dot doom. Doom, boppa doodle dot doom. Sometimes we all make dumb mistakes, and your brother Seamus is no exception. 50 divided by 4, 12.5 times 3, that would be 3/4. We divided 50 into quarters, and then we multiply it times 3. 37.5 states, so 38 states. We're learning here together, people. You'd need 38 states of the 50. Probably 39 if they include Washington, D.C., which they should include because it's a densely populated area, and there's definitely some gun activity in D.C. Ironically, it's where the president lives. Kind of funny. Not really funny, but funny odd, I guess. 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate. You'll never get that for starters. Nobody's even proposed a bill since I've been alive. And your brother Seamus has been alive for a long time. Nobody ever, this is on the exam, has proposed a bill in my lifetime to ban all guns everywhere across the country. But you know where you don't have any gun rights, people? Russia. We know what you said about the Vlad. You call him Vlad the Poisoner. Oh no, I want to talk to my lawyer. You don't get a lawyer here. There's no gun rights in Russia, people. There are no gun rights in Russia, and you can't even criticize the president. I can criticize Joe Biden all day long. Except I won't, because I love me some hashtag Joe Biden. Wait, I screwed that up. I could criticize Joe Biden all day long, but I won't. You know why? Because I love me some hashtag Sleepy Joe. I almost fucked it up again. I do. I love me some Sleepy Joe. You think I don't love Sleepy Joe? I do. I know a lot of you think maybe he's falling down on the job. Or you don't think he's moving fast enough on Gaza. And also, valid criticisms. But he's suing for peace. Okay? So keep that in your head. He's suing for peace. What does that mean? Well, it means he's driving as hard as he can, doing what he thinks needs to be done to achieve peace over there. Yeah. What would Donnie Pants do? Donnie Pants said, basically, in so many words, he said, let Netanyahu do whatever he wants. I don't care. So keep up the protest, though. I think it's good. Keep the protest going. Just remember, most people in Israel agree with you. Don't let it turn into a hate fest. Look for your allies, people. There are allies all around you. They may be white, they may be Jewish, they may be Middle Eastern. Doesn't matter what they are. They're your allies. Keep your tent big. Keep your protest strong. Keep your protest nonviolent. Don't hate on the cops. They're just doing their job. I know some of them are dicks. It can't be helped. It's human nature. Mostly they just want to go home at night and watch the game and have some dinner. But you have a right to protest. Shame on Senator Tom Cotton for openly encouraging people to be violent toward peaceful protesters. He did it. He can't take it back. He's a man who encourages Americans to harm other Americans because they disagree about Gaza. What do you think about that? That Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas. Give him my regards when you call. Give him my regards and say, Tom, how proud you must be of yourself for encouraging violence. Way to go, Tom. Tom Cotton of Arkansas. Hoping Americans will hurt other Americans. Isn't that something? I turned the music off because that's serious. It's a serious point. It's true. I'm your brother Seamus. I'm at 509-676-6032. You cannot repeal the Second Amendment. There's no fucking way they will take your guns away. There never was a way. 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, and 37.5 states, 38, 39 if you count D.C., they're not taking away your guns, people. Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm sorry to cuss. Put the earmuffs on the kids. Holy shit. They ain't no way they taking away your guns. They ain't no way they taking away your guns. I'm going to record that for Sam. Sam will be happy if I give him a pure loop with no sound in it, and maybe you'll hear this in a future track here. Here we go. I'll do the video with it too. What you're seeing on the screen, if you're driving and you can't watch and you're listening live on Q109 out of Walla Walla, Washington, what you're seeing on the screen is a brief explanation of what it takes to repeal a constitutional amendment vis-a-vis Article 2, or the Second Amendment, I should say, which allows you to own a gun. It doesn't say that no limits can be put on that. It also says there should be a well-regulated militia. Where's that? Where's the frickin' well-regulated militia? Because you know what well-regulated means? It means you got to have some gun safety courses, you fucking numbnuts. Gun safety is practically guaranteed in the Constitution, depending on how you look at it. I'm not a constitutional attorney, but I would argue well-regulated militia means you got to take a training class so you don't stick your gun down, you know what I'm saying, down in the belt of your $40,000 tracksuit. It's covered in sequins. I'm picturing blue tracksuit with sapphire sequins. You put your .38 snub nose, boom! You might have shot off your Johnson. You might have. But there ain't no way. Let me get this going here. There ain't no way to take away your guns. There ain't no way to take away your guns. It ain't happening. That's not very good. I'm going to try it again. There ain't no way to take away your guns. 1, 2, 3, 4. There ain't no way to take away your guns. There ain't no way to take away your guns. It's impractical. It's impractical. There ain't no way to take away your guns. There ain't no way to take away your guns. There ain't no way to take away your guns. No, there ain't. No, there ain't. There ain't no way to take away your guns. There ain't no way to take away your guns. No, there ain't. No, there ain't. All right, I messed up the end there, but I think you got the idea. I hope that helps. I hope that helps, America. This is your brother Seamus. I'm just about out of time because I have to go to a board meeting. Board, B-O-A-R-D. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and finish up and tell you where you can buy some t-shirts. But please tell your friends who are afraid of the lie, the idea that liberal Marxists, whatever's, Democrats are going to take away your guns. Ain't no way. Please share that. Please share this paragraph with your, it made itself big. Share this with your friends who are afraid that guns will be taken away, and remind them that many liberals, I'd say half the liberals I know, own guns themselves. It's fun to shoot at targets, but it's also good to be smart and make sure your kids can't get a hold of your guns, okay? That's what we're talking about here, gun safety. Gun safety, not disarmament. Nobody ever even talks about that. But that's what they scare you with. That's how they trick you. It can only be full prohibition on guns or absolute unfettered freedom with guns. Does that mean I can get a bazooka? That's what I always wonder. That's what your brother Seamus wonders. I would love to shoot a bazooka in a safe environment. Blow some shit up, man. That'd be kind of cool. Let's see if we got our outdoor cam going. Oh yeah, it's looking good. The outdoor cam is picking up real nice today. Real nice. Let me get that. We'll be right back, folks. There we go. Put that down on the grass more. There we go. I like it down on the grass. Oh, too high. There we go. It's the Brother Seamus Show. I don't hear that phone ringing, people. I'm just saying. But don't call me while I'm on my break, because, it's my break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy. Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
I don't.
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy. Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy. Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shit. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy. Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shit. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis sure do like dressing snappy. 1, 2, buck 'em a shoe. They sure enough do. Them Nazis sure do love dressing fancy. Fancy.
Now, don't they?
Them Nazis. Hey, if anybody knows how to, maybe I can do it. I want the controls to stop popping up. Might be under properties. No, I don't think it is. Well, if somebody knows a cool trick so that when this thing is playing over, I put it on loop, but then it pops up. I think I'm gonna have to play it on a different player. Cast device, video settings, rotate videos. Yeah, all right. Let's try it on a different player. Not to be picky. Let's try it on a different player. The message for today's show, and I have to go now. I have 1 minute left, people. And I like to do a nice fade out. But I want to ask you 2 questions before we go. One is I'm going to say open this with movies and TV. Let's see how that works out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Repeat. Let's set it on repeat. And play. Oh, it's giving me trouble. It's giving me trouble. I don't want to sign in. Get away from me, please. All right, so this is the one question I want you to think about. This is your homework. If your gun rights endanger my life, what we've got is a situation where your alleged right to maintain gun ownership at any cost, even if you're a maniac, that right trumps my right to life. So when we get into this quandary, we have two competing rights. But why does your right to a gun require me to lose my right to life? Now, this could apply to other rights as well. I want you to think about that. Why does your right to own a gun function in a way that's so absolute that I don't have a right to have my kids go to school and be safe? Now, your brother Seamus ain't got no kids, okay? So that's just point number one. But you know what I'm saying. Why does your right to own a gun remove my right to stay alive or to keep my kids alive? And I think the way we get out of this dilemma, this quagmire, this paradox, because you're going to say my rights to own a gun trump your rights to stay alive or keep your kids alive. The reasonable person analysis applies here, in my opinion. In your brother Seamus's humble opinion, I'm not a barrister. I'm not a jurist, as some say. I'm not an attorney. I don't know pop diddly squat about this. But I hope you'll, take my opinion and toss it around. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to your attorney friends. Talk to your constitutional people. If your right to own a gun is so absolute that it trumps my right to life, my actual right to not be shot or to keep my kids safe, then something's got to give. And the way that we do it is we say, okay, what do we love more? This is how we get out of this quandary. And this is your part 2 of your homework. What do we love more? Let's keep asking ourselves that question. I'm not saying that you have to agree with me. I'm just asking you, do you love your kids more or do you love your guns more? And we kind of are at a point where we have to choose because too many people are getting frickin' shot and people get beat up by drunk people with guns, often spouses, or their kids find their guns. And yeah, if we prosecute them and they happen to be in a state where you can take their guns away, then that's good, but that's not always the case. And the NRA and Mr. Trump, for those millennials and Gen Zers who are ready to vote, they desperately, desperately need you to believe that there's only 2 options, and it's a lie. And you heard it here first from your brother Seamus. I hope you'll support us. I hope you'll support us down the road. I was supposed to cue the music there, but it went away. There it is. I hope you'll support us and buy some t-shirts over at Humans for Democracy on Bonfire. Bonfire is our merch site. You can get cool t-shirts over there that say things like, "Immigrants make great Americans." You can also get a t-shirt that says, "Be an anti-racist." How about them apples? Let's get that green on there. What is that, turquoise? That looks nice. Be an anti-racist, people. You can get those t-shirts at bonfire.com/store/Humans for Democracy. I'm your brother Seamus signing off. Get yourself an anti-racist t-shirt or Immigrants Make Great Americans t-shirt. All the money that we gain once we pay ourselves a little bit of cabbage, any profit goes to running social media ads, spreading messages just like this one. Immigrants do make great Americans. They really do. yeah, oh yeah, oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 This is your brother Seamus. I'm dancing in a black hole today, people. Yeah. It's kind of nice. I can feel it trying to separate my atoms, but I'm resisting. Yeah. And I recommend you all do the same. It's good to dance in a black hole every once in a while. We'll see you next time, people. And once again, nobody called. I'm already 7 minutes late. Nobody called, and I'm 7 minutes late. Yeah. I'm sure I'll look back on call-free days in the future. At least I hope. I may look back on this time as more fun than taking calls. I don't know. I guess if I don't like taking calls, I'll just stop taking them. Let's do a 20-second fade to black, and I'll bring the music down at the same time. I'm your brother Seamus. I sure wish you would have called today, but I'm not angry that you didn't. I just hope you'll think about it. Think about me. Think about it for next time, maybe, as we slowly fade out and the music gets quieter. And you just realize you've been listening for 1 hour and 7 minutes. Holy Jehoshaphat.